No, it's not. And it's not the. It's hello, everybody. I'm Lee Cole 3. I'm here with my partner James Proctor. James, how
Hey,
you doing today?
hey, I'm doing good today. How are you, Lee?
Good, very good, thank you. And we're going to talk about a guy that I kind of put him on the same level as Anthony Ramundi. You know who Anthony Ramundi is, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay, Anthony Ramundi is a known storyteller around here. His stories are so unbelievable. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about Anthony Ruggiano today. And the
Okay.
reason we're going to talk about him is because he keeps he's acting like he was the Godfather back in the day, that he was a big gangster, and he's in on every story. So we're going to show evidence that he's full of it. Okay, what do
Yep.
you think, James?
No, I agree with you. And then, yeah, and then looking at Anthony Raimondi, what I remember is him talking about that's funny, talking about killing the Pope. But yeah, I mean, this is a good analogy, when you think about it, because you have Forrest Gump. So people probably remember watching that. That was a great movie from '94, and you saw where Forrest Gump appeared in just about every photo and video from the '60s, '70s, and I guess early '80s. But the difference is that um, Ruggiano doesn't appear in any photos or videos or anything like that.
And you reached out to a prominent person in this genre
Yeah,
that that was in the life. And this person told, I'm going to read what that person told you without saying their name, because we promised them we wouldn't say their name.
right.
Uh, a lot of people might know who we're talking about, but you know what? We're just going to not say the person's name. It says, "Hello, James. I met Anthony twice. Both times I was with Junior. He came by the club to say hello. Never seen him before that. He is a nice guy. Gravano has a way to have people say what he needs them to say. As we know, he has tried with me and has done it with others. Anthony needs to do what Anthony needs to do. Sammy is good at getting people to do what he wants. If Anthony is a tool for Sammy, Anthony should know that. Be well, guys."
Yeah.
So, how much street cred does the person that sent this to you have?
Yeah, I mean, it's someone that I have a lot of confidence in, and does have street cred, and was definitely in that life, and knew a lot of the people, uh, you know, in the past 50 years. So
Okay, and
There's a
okay,
bar
so
on Jamaica Avenue called the
well,
Shamrock Lounge, right?
okay, so we're going to go to this next thing here. Now, this is from Angel Gotti's show. Please go. It's her Patreon page, and we're going to play a little clip from it. And please go to that channel and sub to the Patreon page. We'd
yeah,
appreciate it.
yeah, we
Okay.
actually have about a 50-minute, 45-minute interview show that we did that's up on Patreon that we're taking a clip from. And so
Yeah.
if you want to see the full interview, just join Angel Gotti's Patreon.
And the link will be underneath this video when we're done. Okay, so we'll start this, and we're going to break Anthony Ruggiano down.
Fortunately, Sammy doesn't realize that once you cooperate, once you make that decision, you're no longer a gangster. You don't have the gangster card anymore.
Okay, so Angel, I know that there's some things that you don't like to watch Sammy Gravano stuff. So
I
being
never
this is
watch
Patreon,
his stuff.
yeah, but being this is Patreon, I want you to see this only because it's some things that Ruggiano, I'm sorry, that Ruggiano says. And being this is Patreon, I think that you could answer them better than if you were out in public. So I'm just going to put it on and play a little bit of it, and we can get Marlo's opinions too. Because he says some things, Angel, and I want you to see them, because you can basically tell us what he's talking about, if he's even telling the truth. That's just
Okay.
my opinion.
There's a bar on Jamaica Avenue called the Shamrock Lounge, right? So this kid Frankie Geese that was around us with my father, his father Frankie Geese Sr. was a big Shylock. He got a heart attack and the kid inherited the book, but he was with us, the kid, and me and my brother were partners with him on the Shylock book. So there's this bar on Jamaica Avenue called the Shamrock Lounge. He goes in there one night to meet his girl, and he has a beef with this guy. The guy keeps on nudging him, and he has words with the guy. He leaves. He goes to Jojo Carraz's club, right? And Bobby Glasses is there, and this guy, Bobby Glasses, and this other guy, Ronnie the Jew. They used to call him, he wasn't Jewish, that was just his nickname. They used to call him Ronnie the Jew. The three of them get in the car, drunk. They go back to the Shamrock Bar. They walk in and they blast the bartender and the owner. They clip both of them. Who's in the bar drinking? I can't believe you never heard this. Pete Gotti's daughter, Linda, is in the bar hanging out with her friends, right? After they clip these two guys, Bobby Glasses and Ronnie the Jew go to the patio lounge on Rockaway Boulevard. This kid, Frankie Geese, comes to me. I'm in this bar called the Polish Bar in Ozone Park. He comes to me and he tells me and Bobby Glasses.
Angel. Okay. So let's play what Angel says here. Okay. So first of all, he says this guy that was involved with the killing goes to him. Why the hell in the world would he go to him?
I don't believe that he did, because back in those days, Ruggiano was a druggie. He was a drug addict. So why would somebody go to him? I have no idea. But it's funny how all these years later, Ruggiano puts himself into this. I never heard of him having anything to do with that. And for his information, that was Linda's boyfriend. That was Linda's boyfriend. She wasn't in in a bar drinking with her friends. She was with her boyfriend, who was, I believe, the owner of the bar. That was her boyfriend. They came in, whatever happened, they killed her and they killed him in front of her. And she had a very, very hard time with that. But she never, she never told anybody. And let's just say she did. She's a woman. She was a young girl. I think she was about 19.
This was in 1981
She's a
when
civilian.
it happened.
She's not in
Exactly.
the mafia. She's not someone that took the oath of omerta as well. She is not. She doesn't know. She probably doesn't even know about your father.
So this was a 19-year-old girl that just seen her boyfriend blown away.
Yes.
Over a spilt drink. Okay. These three guys came and killed him. It killed two people in the bar. And that's what happened.
Father, what involvement he might have had at the time.
No, back in the day, exactly. And also, she is a civilian. She's a young woman. And they threw my mother into that. And my mother never said a word that, you can't testify. My mother never said a word to her. And let me tell you something. I'm not even really defending her, because I haven't seen her. I mean, my entire family, nobody's seen her in about 45 years. I don't know the last time I saw her. I think when we would, I'll tell you the last time I saw her was 1983 or 84. 83 or 84 was the last time I saw her.
What's part of
that wedding
to what happened?
My wedding, and I think my sister's wedding. And then it was my wedding first, then my sister's wedding, and I haven't seen her since then.
Was it by her choice or the family's choice to not?
He's got blood on his sleeve. I go, and you fucking came here after you did? He came right to me. So he was nervous wreck. So we take his car, we get rid of his car, and I bring him to the Hilton. There was a Hilton Hotel on by Kennedy Airport. We put him in the room in the Hilton Hotel. The next day I call up the room. He's gone. He's gone, right? Now, Pete Gotti's daughter, Linda, made a statement, gave them up. Ronnie, because she knew them all, gave their names, gave a statement to the cops. Now the cops know who they are, right? Now they're up in arms. John wasn't even. I don't think John was even a captain yet. I'm trying to think. I don't know if they made him a captain yet. Well, anyway, they're up in arms because now Linda, gave up these people. Now, then she retracted the statement. Anyway, they come to the post bar. John Gotti. I mean, it was a terrible thing. John Gotti, Johnny Koenig, Jeannie, Angelo. They come to the Polish bar. My father's there with Tony Lee, and they're in the corner and they're talking. And my father calls me over and he goes, "Listen, Frankie Geesh got to go."
Okay, listen to this. And we talk about this in here. This is what really, really frustrates me. We're supposed to believe that John Gotti, Fat Andy, Carniglia, and Gene Gotti, these serious gangsters were in the corner talking about this. And then right after they decided that they had to kill the guy, they went to him. This guy at this time was a known drug addict, to tell him that he had to go. Does any of this make sense?
No, it doesn't make sense to me. I mean, the guy, I mean, that's the reality of it. And so this was in 81. The other thing is that Fat Andy wasn't really that close to John Gotti. And so
At all.
Not at all. They didn't like each other. Maybe in the 70s, they did stuff together, which they did. That is true, but they weren't close. So yeah, none of that made sense. And for, Anthony to be involved in that. So you have all these heavyweights and then they
all these
pull
heavyweights
in
involved
Anthony.
with Anthony. This sounds like John A. Late Part 2.
Yeah.
This sounds like. Okay, let's continue this because Angel has a couple things to say. Angel, do you hear this crap? He's saying it. Your father.
Yeah, right.
He's not even in the mafia. Yeah.
Your father. He's saying your father is in the corner with Fat Andy, Carniglia, Gene. I mean, powerful guys. And right after this meeting ends, they run over to him. Do people realize how stupid that sounds?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
It's
Unbelievable.
that
This is
anybody would believe
crazy.
This guy is acting like he was walking around the streets. He's acting like he was a bigger thing than his father.
This person, this Ruggiano's sister, testified against him that he was a liar, that whatever he was saying on the stand when he was testifying at a case, that he was lying. She called her brother a liar and a drug addict.
Yeah.
Okay, so far you find this comical, right?
Yeah.
James, do you find this comical?
He greatly exaggerates his relationship with my father. Greatly exaggerates it.
There is a guy that was in that life that knows everyone that's there, that talked to us and said that he only seen him around twice, and your brother was friends with him or had brought him over a couple of times, but he never hung out at the Ravenite. He never was at the Bergen. He only appeared maybe twice, and he didn't. And as far as he always talks about that he was almost made, there's no evidence either that he was on any list to be made because of his drug issues.
Exactly.
And Angel, just so you know who we're talking about. We're not going to say his name on here. We'll tell you afterwards. But let's put it this way. He was friends with your brother. And he said this guy, he's even saying this guy is full of it.
Oh, you could put it in the private chat.
Oh, 1 second. Okay. Can you put it in the private chat for me, James? For Angel?
Yeah, I'll try to.
I'm going to take him from behind the Lindenwood Diner. So I said, all right.
Oh, okay. Well, he's the one who knows. He knows. Ooh.
He would know, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to start this back up, Angel, so we can have some more lies.
because he instigated the whole thing. This kid, Frankie Gish, he instigated it. He said, Frankie Gish got to go. So I said, all right, he's got to go. And so to make a long story short, so I said, how are we going to do it? So they said, well, we're going to make an appointment. We're going to reach out to his family. We're going to tell his family to have him come to meet you by the Lindenwood Diner.
Me?
No, me.
Oh, Jesus.
Angel, Sammy has that look like. Sammy has that look like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
Because you know that Sammy knows he's. See, that's what we're talking about, James. Sammy sitting here knows that this guy's full of crap.
Right.
He knows it because, you know, you can say what you want about Sammy, but Sammy was in the streets. Sammy was a serious dude. And he's hearing this story, and Sammy's like, I like Sammy to say what he was really thinking at that moment instead of saying that this guy's telling the truth. Full of crap.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Me by the Lindenwood Diner, and you're going to bring him around the back of the Lindenwood Diner, and then Jeannie and Johnny are going to take him from behind the Lindenwood Diner. So I said, all right.
Okay, so here he's saying that Corniglia and Gene Gotti are going to kill this guy. This guy was involved in the shooting. Okay, so why would a high-powered hitman like that work with Ruggiano? I mean, we know that he set up his brother-in-law. There's no doubt about that. But he's saying it's happened again. What do they call this guy and say, hey, listen, we got to set somebody up. Would you help us set somebody up to kill?
Yeah, and this was, you know, obviously earlier. This was in 81 when this happened. And, you know, at that point, you know, the guy was in his early 20s, wasn't you know, but was, like you said, was on drugs. And I just don't see that happening. I just don't see them utilizing him, especially at that time. There were so many people that could have been utilized to do the setup.
Yes. This is 1981 also, when he's in the depths of his drug addiction. I mean,
right. And I don't even know, he might have been in prison at that time. I don't know his prison status. I know he went to prison in 78. I don't even know if he was out by 81. Maybe he was, but you know, I haven't looked. But yeah, it just, to me, just you know, and what happens is with these stories, you can't verify, you know, a lot of that because no one's around that could collaborate, or if someone in the life, they're not going to say one way or the other. So you just have his word on that, but it just doesn't make sense based on what we do know.
And people, just so you know, this video is on Patreon, and underneath this video at the end, there'll be a Patreon link for Angel Gotti. It's called My Father's Daughter. And this is the kind of stuff we put on there. We got lots of other stuff too, and we have a lot more interesting stuff coming up. So this is kind of just you're getting a little example of what you could see on Adrian.
Yeah, it's a tease. Yeah.
So I'm waiting in front of the Lindenwood Diner for him to come a couple of days later, and a Cadillac pulls up, and I look in it, and it's a guy that looked just like him, which is his uncle. His uncle lived in the Bronx, and his uncle says, Anthony, come here, I want to talk to you. So I get in the car, I go, where's your nephew? He says to me, you think I'm going to let you kill my fucking nephew? I said, I don't know what you're talking about. I just want to know who the Shylock customers are. We want to get our money. We don't know who the customers are. I know he ran away. He said, how much you got on the street? So I said, we had like 27,000 in the street. I gave him a figure. He goes, I tell your father I'm going to send him the money, because his uncle was a knockaround guy from the Bronx, but tell him I'm going to take care of my nephew. And I never see the kid again. I never see.
Angel, so once again, he's saying that he was involved in setting somebody up for Corniglia and your Uncle Gene. That's how much they respect this guy, Angel. He was like the front man for the hit.
I don't believe a word he says.
It's amazing.
And
how did the uncle?
First of all, he's a known street drug addict. What's that?
How does the uncle even know about this? So this is an 81, and Gotti is a captain by then, at least an acting captain, and so you have a Bronx guy that's said he's going to give money to I guess it's to Fat Andy's what he's referring to, maybe, you know, I don't know, but right. The kid supposedly is the one that inherited the book from his father who had died, is my understanding. But yeah, I don't understand it. but I guess it's his father that would be getting the 27,000 from the uncle, according to
Yeah.
Anthony.
Anthony's trying to make it sound like he's getting the money.
Yeah.
Why would they even deal with this guy? Why would guys at the level of Corniglia or your Uncle Gene even give this guy the time of day?
Truthfully, I don't know. Let me tell you this, okay? My family has had many, many weddings and funerals, okay? We've had my wedding, my sister's wedding, my cousins' weddings, my Uncle Pete's daughter's weddings, my Uncle Angelo's daughter's weddings. I have never seen Anthony Ruggiano at any single one of them. Not one. Not
Could he have
one.
been sitting out in the Could he have been sitting out in the car having people kiss his ring?
I don't know. But I've never seen him at one wedding ever. Not one funeral that we ever went to. Never saw him.
And isn't that the first place that you see
Yes.
the guys
Yes.
back then in the life?
Yes.
So in that life, James, and this is what we talked about, the mobsters always meet up at these funerals. Anybody that's anybody, out of respect, like say John Gotti lost his son, let's say.
Yes.
Out of respect, people showed up at the funeral.
Why wouldn't have he been there? Well, maybe he was in prison, but you know, those are the type of questions. If he was that close, he would have been in these weddings and funerals. And then also, the other thing is surveillance footage, which I've reviewed, you've reviewed, God, countless hours.
There's no
of that
surveillance
stuff.
footage.
Mm-hmm.
There's no surveillance footage of this guy with any of those people in that life. Period.
No.
Ever.
We even have John A. Light in surveillance.
John A.
But
Light
we
is Al
don't have
Capone
him.
compared to John A. Light is Al Capone compared to this guy.
Yeah.
John A. Light is sitting next to John Gotti compared to this guy. Okay,
He's never been on any. Have you ever seen a photo with him? You know, you see photos of all these people. Even John A. Light, you've seen photos by the FBI surveillance. You've never seen photos of Ruggiano around any of these guys or at the Raven Night, the Burner, any of those places.
Never.
James, right? This guy makes John A. look like Al Capone.
I know.
And that's sad. Okay. I think
And
this guy
I was very close with his ex-wife. Very, very close. We were very close. And our sons were best friends. I've never seen him. Never saw him.
Okay, Marla, I'd like to ask you a question, Marla.
Yes.
So you're looking at this from the outside in, and you see this man right here who's becoming a pretty big thing on YouTube, and but you're hearing that he's never been at no funerals. Another guy that we know, never seen him, more than once or twice around the Raven Night with a friend. So what do you think when you see a guy like this and people eat this stuff up and believe it?
I think they have like an exaggerated sense of their own self-importance. Like it seems as if once they turn rap, these are not 9-to-5 guys. They're not going to go away and get a regular job and off into the sunset. They want to feel important. They still want to have those feelings that they had in that life. And I guess for a rap, this is one way of doing it. You have to exaggerate who you were around, what you did. I mean, otherwise, how would they get in these documentaries? And how would they be like, who would pay them any attention unless they were around somebody bigger than themselves?
The main guys back then.
His son.
We're going to really break this guy down a little bit. So let's move on a little bit here.
Hell of a story.
Yeah, and then Bobby Glasses, years later, they all went to trial in the state, but they beat the case. Then Bobby Glasses got indicted by the feds on that.
So they never got indicted in that case.
No, they did. Frankie Geesh got pinched in Florida, but by the time he got pinched, there was no more witnesses. But what happened was when Bobby Glasses got pinched by the state,
Angel, do you hear what he just said? By the time he got pinched, there was no more witnesses. But Ruggiano admitted that he
But
said
I thought
that
Ruggiano was a witness.
Yes, he was setting him up to be killed. So that makes no sense, does it?
It makes no sense. Go ahead.
Because he's a government. Not only is he a witness, he works for the government at this time.
Oh,
See, if you break down what they're saying, Angel, the lies always come out as they talk.
right.
Okay, here we go.
One of the guys, the witnesses, they lied because Ronnie One Arm fixed all of it. They threw the murder in on Bobby Glasses and the feds. Bobby Glasses wind up getting indicted years and years later by the feds as part of a RICO, and he wind up getting convicted for the two murders.
But did they use her statement?
No.
Okay, so this is important. He didn't get convicted for the murders. It was part of a conspiracy as part of the RICO charges of the murder.
Yeah, those are predicate charges. You know, that's part of RICO. You have to have the predicate stuff like murder or some other crime.
Never used the statement.
Okay,
never,
so then
never.
How did they get pinched?
Other people came forward then and went on and said they lied. They were threatened by Ronnie One, because now Ronnie One Arm got life. He's in jail. He's gone, and other people came forward and changed their testimony, and then they had.
So who's the other people that came forward? I mean, he's saying other people. Sammy looks confused by his story, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I'm confused by the story.
Yeah, and Sammy's like, who's the other people? See, Sammy, one thing about Sammy understands the court system and everything really well, because he got the best deal in the history of rats, him and Messina.
Mm-hmm.
I cooperated, so they had my testimony because I was in on the whole scheme, and Bobby Glasses got convicted. But Linda originally gave them all up, and everything disappeared. All the evidence disappeared.
Do you know where it disappeared to, Angel? I mean, did someone like throw it in the dumpster or something?
I don't know.
Well, and I thought he just said a minute before that all the witnesses were dead by then.
Yeah.
How is it all of a sudden now they all show up again from the grave?
Yeah, but according to but according to the press, I don't know. I know what I read in the newspapers. According to them, they had Linda ready to testify against them, but then for some reason the feds didn't call her. So does he even know that? Does he know that?
And on top, you know what else he's not saying? He's saying that he could have testified, but he didn't testify either. But he's not sharing that yet.
Okay.
And they made the movie, got rid of everything, but she read it.
She read it. Yeah, she read it.
Peter Gotti's daughter.
Peter Gotti's daughter, Linda Gotti.
So
yeah, 19-year-old girl
Peter
ratted.
Gotti's daughter.
So did she rat ever?
No, I mean, she didn't rat, number one. Number two
she considered it as a 19-year-old girl, but she never testified on the stand.
No.
She never she took back her original testimony.
Yeah. Well, it was a statement to the police that came out there. Yeah.
There actually was no ever any of her getting on the stand and testifying.
Yeah, the police, there was a cold case, because what ended up happening after 81, it was a cold case until 2013 or whenever that was, when they had Bobby Glasses on trial. That is when all of that got brought up. And so in 1981, it was closed as a cold case. And so no one got in trouble for that back then. And so the other thing about it is that it's very interesting how the gleam, when you look at their faces, how they're just excited that, oh, we've got a Gotti that testified, or we have a Gotti that's a rat. And so what's the reason for that? Are you saying that that justifies what you did? Is that make you feel like you're in good company now? But the issue is that they never took, I mean, talking about Linda, she was not in the mafia. She was a civilian. She was a 19-year-old woman. Her boyfriend, who owned the bar, was gunned down in cold blood. Okay. And so women and children are exempt from all of that anyway, from omerta. And so you want to call her a rat? I mean, that's unbelievable.
Yeah. Okay.
cooperated. She read it,
It's all documented.
and it's documented. And this is incredible. I didn't know that.
Okay, so Angel, you got a couple big.
But
time
this
rats
is the
here.
funny thing. This is King Rat and Little Junior Rat calling a civilian a rat.
On top of that, a 19-year-old girl that witnessed her boyfriend be
Being
gunned down in
killed.
front of her.
Right.
What type of emotional state she would have been in? Who knows? I mean, I wouldn't have. God, have someone killed in front of you like that? I mean, who knows how you
Angel,
would react?
that's a great point, James. Angel, you had someone get murdered in front of you, and we talked about it.
Yes.
Did you ever really get over that or forget about it?
No, I never forgot about it. I also never gave a statement. I didn't. I was too hysterical. I never, and when they were going to subpoena me, my father gave me the keys to the car and $100 and told me goodbye, don't come back until, until call mommy and she'll let you know, if you could, and you're talking about 1978.
But isn't it something,
what
Angel,
year?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
But isn't
what?
it something isn't it something how these grown men who became informants are trying to compare young girls to them?
Young girl to these
The more
two.
people, the more people that people like this can like, the more that they can call other people a rat, the more I feel like they can feel better about what they did. Because
Exactly.
in their, I mean, the more they try the way they talk, before long, everybody will be a rat.
Was the one that
While he's
died?
looking for that,
Was 20. You told Prosecutor Gleason that you were afraid that Gotti and Locascio, if they beat the case, were going to kill you. You mean that kind of excuse, Gravano?
okay, we're going to end that part because because if you want to see that, join Angel Gotti. I'm sorry, John Gotti's daughter. I'm all messed up here.
My daughter,
daughter.
my father's daughter. Yeah,
on Patreon, Angel Gotti.
Mhm.
And you'll see the whole thing. That we paid about 15, 20 minutes, but it's an hour long, and it's really interesting stuff. See, you'll have Angel Gotti. People will say, "Oh, she's defending," but Angel was on the streets back then. She knows about these things. People say, "Oh, she wasn't on the streets." Those guys were street guys that came in her house all the time.
Yeah, she knew all those. She knew everyone that was around, and the thing is that it's a small community, right? She knows sisters. She's friends with wives, ex-wives, girlfriends. I mean, they know each other, and so one thing too, for those people that want to hear these type of stories about John Gotti and about the mob, you won't hear it from Angel on YouTube, but she'll share that type of stuff on Patreon.
Now, I got an article here from the New York Post, James, that you dug up.
Yep.
And it's really interesting because Ruggiano said that he was contemplating for over a year whether to become a rat or not. So here's where this doesn't make sense. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to read something to you in an article here. A veteran mob rat was rewarded with sentence of time served. So how much time did he do? 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
After 3 days, he became a rat.
Yeah.
He says that he had to sit down and think about it for a year. It's not true, is it?
No. It was 3 days.
Yeah. He sat in it and said, and at that time, everybody that his father was dead. So he didn't have to worry about his father being ashamed. At that point, just say the truth. Say, my father was dead and I decided that I didn't want to do no more prison time. That's the truth. Stop making excuses.
Yeah. I mean, he did spend, he got picked up, I think 2 or 3 different stints. He did spend 14 years in prison. That part's true.
Yes.
And that was all before his father died.
His father was alive during the time he was in prison. his father was alive.
Yeah, he was more afraid of his father than the government at that time, which I understand. I mean, that he took it like a man then. But then when his father died, he said, "Oh, that the life was crap and all that, and he's changing his life and all that." But later on, you hear where he'll say that there's times he doesn't have any remorse for what he did. So, who knows?
And here's how this is how they describe him: a former junkie.
Mm-hmm.
Ruggiano Jr. said that he cleaned up his life in the witness protection program and abandoned his life of crime. And but the mobster's tearful pleas. Okay, I was born and raised into the family whose values were rooted in organized crime, he said. I grew up in the shadow of my father. Yes, but you wanted to grow up in the shadow of your father. You worshipped your father. So don't make this like about your father. But the mobster's tearful pleas. So he's crying about setting up his brother-in-law now to be murdered. Were met with disgust and glares by Boccia's daughter, Jenna, and sister, Josephine. Now, that's the gentleman that he set up. That was his brother-in-law. Maybe he deserved to be set up. But this guy had family too. And he's crying on the stands as he's talking to the family here. And I just wanted people to see that, because these articles, they don't call him a mobster. They call him a drug addict.
Yeah, and that's two things I want to mention on that. One is that, and there's a good point on there. So I had always thought that he had cleaned up his life first and then decided to become an informant. But it says that he joined the program, and then while in the program, he cleaned his act up. So he was still, I guess, still doing drugs at the point that he made that decision. And then the other thing is, here's what Cosa Nostra would mean. And I know he wasn't made, but if your mother was hit like that, beat up, right? If he was such a gangster as he says he is on the street, why didn't he pick up a gun and blow the guy's head off instead of having to bring him in?
And he could set him up easily anywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to make a correction on Bobby Glasses. Bobby Glasses was convicted for this, but it was by a witness that was at the bar. And it wasn't Linda Gotti.
It wasn't Linda. Okay.
It was another witness at the bar that seen it and testified.
Okay.
And just so we can clear that up, because
all right,
if I'm incorrect about something, I want to clear that up. Okay. So what we're trying to say is, Ruggiano came on here living off of John Gotti's name.
Yeah.
Talking about stories about John Gotti and his father and him. Stories about Angelo Quack Quack with John Gotti. We have a few shorts that we got where they do very well. But now he seemed to like totally forgotten about the Gotti thing, and going now he's put everything with Sammy. Do you think that's going to pay off for him in the long run?
Well, it hadn't paid off for other folks in the long run. And the other thing about a couple of things that I did want to bring up about it was that he wasn't even around Sammy on the street. He said maybe he saw him once or twice, but from the conversation, Sammy really didn't know who he was at the time. He knew that Fat Andy had a son. He knew Fat Andy, but Fat Andy was in prison a lot of that time when Sammy was in the administration. And so that part, he wasn't even around Sammy that much. And then also it's interesting that you'll see, even though Sammy released the Michael Francis interview in the back, that was done back in February. And in this interview with Ruggiano, he makes a couple of veiled references to how Michael Francis made excuses for ratting by saying he didn't have anyone convicted. And so you will hear that. And, it's kind of a fascinating, that third interview third segment or third video that's Ruggiano and Sammy, you know, that's where a lot of this came from. And so it's pretty interesting how, you know, they doubled down on a lot of the lies that they've said previously.
I agree 100%. And I'm going to play a couple things here. Is there anything else you want to say about Anthony Ruggiano? We have 1,000 other things we could talk about why he's full of it.
Right.
But these are the couple main things that we wanted to talk about right now.
No, I mean, the other thing is and I think one thing about that I have to remember about it, I'd always said previously that, yeah, he's a nice guy, he's nice guy, got good show and all that, but I'm not going to defend him. I'm not going to call him a nice guy. It's, what he's doing, I don't see that as nice, He's trying to, he told us why he went with Sammy. He wants to get views. I understand, but he's not the nice guy that he pretends to be, in my opinion.
Okay, and please subscribe and hit the like button and the reminder bell to our show, people. We'd appreciate it. And we already talked about Angel Gotti and that show with My Father's Daughter on Patreon. We're going to have all these links below. We're also going to put up all the documents we're gathering at GravanoCrimeFamily.com or RealMobContent.com, because we're going to do more exclusive stuff on Sammy Gravano, stuff that's not out there yet, stuff that we investigated and uncovered. With that, people, I'd like to say thank you so much.
Thank you.
And James, thank you for doing the show.
Yeah, appreciate it. Everyone have a great day.
Take care.